So just to make sure we're on the same page, you're going to be talking about the idea of annotation in a lot of your classes. Now in our class we're going to do things online quite a bit. We're going to use Word Online. So the concept of annotation stays exactly the same, but the mechanics, like the nuts and bolts of how you do it, might be just a little bit different. So to start off, let's talk about what is annotation. So what does it mean to annotate something? Well, it's kind of 2 points to this. I think annotate, just a word, means just to keep track of your thinking as you read something. And usually to keep track of your thinking as you read something, usually you're writing on the text that you're reading. There's other ways to annotate. You could annotate on a separate piece of paper, which is fine, especially if you're using like a textbook where you're not allowed to write on it. But in general, the concept of annotating means just keep track of your thinking as you read. And what's probably the best way to do that? Well, probably to write it down. Write down your thoughts. And where was the best place to write your thoughts? Well, probably on the text that you're reading, if at all possible. And then if not, you'd probably use a separate piece of paper. So, why would you annotate? Why would you keep track of your thinking as you read? Well, here's to me, this is why. As we read, we get all sorts of ideas about what we're reading. However, we'll usually forget most of those ideas by the time we get done reading the text if we don't keep track of them along the way. And the reason we forget our ideas is because when you read a text, it's a non-stop stream of someone else's ideas going into your head, and it crowds up your brain if you're truly paying attention to that text. So we need to keep track of our own ideas in writing as we read to make sure that we have enough mental space to focus on the new information in the text as we read it. There's usually not enough space to totally remember our ideas and all these brand new ideas that we're getting out of the text at the same exact time and keep track of them for the duration of a text. So our ideas need to kind of get written down as we're reading so then we can go back and remember them after we read. So paper and pencil is a wonderful technology. It's a very powerful technology. And when you underline and when you annotate with paper and pencil, you usually follow these things, and you'll cover these in the other classes. You underline or highlight major points in the text that you find important. You circle keywords or phrases that are confusing to you. You use a question mark for questions. And then you write your questions in the margin. Use an exclamation mark when you discover something new or surprising or exciting or something that stands out to you. And then you draw arrows to connect things within the text. Now, how do we take this idea and turn it into something that will work when we're using the tool Word Online, which is another piece of technology, just like a paper and a pencil is? Well, we can underline, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. You can underline stuff. There are major points or something in the text you find important. That's very easy to do. Now, circling, if you're using the full version of Word, you can make circles, but circles don't work very well on Microsoft Word, and they don't even exist in Word Online. So instead, maybe we'll make bold keywords or phrases that are confusing or unknown to you. And we'll use a question mark for questions. And when you write your question using the comment feature, you probably will end this phrase with a question mark, so that'll be pretty clear. Use an exclamation mark when you comment on things that you find new or surprising or exciting. To make connections between things, it's really hard to do arrows in Microsoft Word, and then they don't usually stay in the right place. So I think it'd be a good idea just to color code stuff. So if you see part of the text and then you kind of make a connection to another part of the text, you could just make those two parts the same color. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then at all times, we're going to use the comment feature, which is nothing new. We're going to use that review comment feature to highlight specific parts of the text and write down your ideas. So that's what it means to annotate.